Hi, everyone. I'm Anita Pastor, and welcome to my channel, Everything About Hypnosis. And I'd like you to welcome with me my guest today, Kristina Kyser. Kristina was a former client of mine, and we did past life regression. And she's been great in wanting to come on and talk to you guys about what it's like to go under hypnosis and her experience. How are you doing today, Kristina?
I'm great. Thank you, Anita. How are you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for coming on because you'll really be able to help clients understand what it's like to go through a session. And you had a really extraordinary experience. So
I
I think
did.
this is just a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
Yes, great. Thanks. So, what compelled you to have a QHHT session?
So I had a session with a psychic who told me essentially about a past life. And the reason that I came to her initially was because I'm undergoing this transition from being a registered psychotherapist for 13 years to working as an intuitive channel. And so there's an enormous amount of, I think, normal resistance. The rational mind kicks up a lot of resistance to that kind of transition, to it being supplanted by the intuitive faculties. But I was experiencing sort of more than normal resistance. I was having a lot of fear, and I was having, even after like really powerful sessions, channeling sessions, there would be almost like a backlash afterwards, where I would sort of spiral into doubt and fear. And so what she disclosed to me in the session was that I had a past life where I had been institutionalized for being clairvoyant. And that in the process of that institutionalization, not only was my mental health deeply sort of traumatically impacted, but I lost all faith in my capacity and probably lost my capacity to channel accurately. So this was the reason that I came into hypnosis.
Wow, that's quite an experience that you had.
Yes.
Um, Amazing. So, when you were under hypnosis, what did it feel like to you? So, often I find clients, they're like, "Am I going to turn on a movie? Is this like watching a video?" And they sort of set expectations. I think that can hinder their experience.
hmm
So, what was it like for you?
So for me, because I do have experience channeling, it's actually remarkably similar to channeling in the
Mm,
sense that the analytical mind, the sensory input, the kind of constant background chatter, all of that is dialed way down. And so it's a state of deep receptivity, of deep calm, of openness, spaciousness. And then the information just sort of flows really, really easily, really seamlessly. So it's those theta brain waves where we're
yeah,
really in a state of openness and surrender.
yeah. So, did you find that you had to sort of step back and let the information come through you, or did it just feel natural? Like how did it feel to you?
For the most part, it felt very natural. There were moments where I could feel a kind of tension between my conscious mind, which was
Mm,
sort of way back in an observing stance. And there
mm,
were moments where it would come forward more. But for the most part, it was a very easy flow.
okay. Okay, great. So you had a really profound experience, and you had a past life where you experienced yourself as Sarah. And Sarah actually turned out to be the institutionalized woman that you were told about. So, would you like to tell us about your past life with Sarah?
Yes. So essentially, I came into sort of the viewpoint, the position, the perspective of Sarah in the institution. So the first thing that came into my vision was a small window with bars on it. I was able to sort of get sensory data about her immediate surroundings, what she was wearing, where she was. And then as you asked me questions about her life, I was given these sort of dream-like flashes of other figures in her life, her sister's children. So essentially, Sarah was institutionalized for speaking in the streets. This is in the 1800s. Speaking in the streets and letting people know that God was inside them. So essentially, trying to empower people to understand that they were divine, that they were connected to the divine, and that this was sort of an innate and inalienable part of them. And this is why she was institutionalized for quite a long time and suffered some pretty horrific treatment.
Yes, if I recall, I think she was in the institution for almost 22 years.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
you had actually Sarah had gone into the institution quite early.
Yes.
I think she was in her early 20s, so it was, and you end up passing away in that institution.
Yes. Yeah.
So it was quite a traumatic experience that you had as Sarah in that institution.
It was.
Yeah.
Yes.
So did you identify with any of the memory of the past lifetime of Sarah? Was there anything that you
I
felt connection wise?
I did. There was a quality of isolation that she experienced in that cell that
Mm,
resonated for me with an experience of feeling very alone, feeling sort of unreachable, um, feeling separate. And there was also this sort of the experience of clairvoyance, the experience of receiving and feeling the urgent need to communicate. So that sense of communication, of being a medium for communication, of
mm,
having an important message to deliver, that also resonated.
yeah. So one thing that's interesting in these sessions is that your subconscious mind or your higher self, everybody has different references to it. Um, it never gives you what you're not ready for.
Mm.
So what was fascinating was that you explained this to us before our session and you just went right into that past life immediately. So I knew that your subconscious was ready. Like
Mhm.
you were ready to get this information, which was really extraordinary. So is the connection with now Sarah in the past lifetime and this lifetime, have you bridged that gap now? Do you feel, how do you feel about the channeling? And I mean, it was a mirror experience of what you're dealing with now.
Yes, so I definitely there's been a shift in terms of the intensity of the fear and the doubt. I would say that I'm back to more of the sort of ordinary levels of resistance and doubt that anyone has to work through,
Mhm.
because I think I'm going against a lot of convention and a lot of conditioning. Um, but yeah, so there's been a removal of sort of the intensity of that fear, and there's been sort of a confirmation of the importance of the impulse to
Yeah.
receive, to deliver, to be a medium, to be a bridge, essentially between people and spirit.
Yeah. Okay, great. So in QHHT, we ask our clients, we record all sessions so that you can hear it because it's very intense and can last up to 2 hours. And some people feel they remember everything, but many people don't realize what they missed after they listen to the recording. So, how many times did you listen to your recording, Christina?
I don't know. I didn't keep track exactly, so I listened to different portions of it many
Yeah.
times. I didn't listen to the whole thing because I think it's 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
But I did listen to different portions of it several times.
Okay. So, you took it in sections?
Yes,
Yeah. And did you find it helpful?
I did very much.
Yeah. Did you I often recommend to clients that they should write notes down because often as you go through your daily life, you make more connections as you're walking through.
Yes, so I journal and channel every morning, and there was a lot of information that came in the weeks following the session, and then when I would listen again,
Yeah.
and there were different portions of the session that I had more and less resistance to, um, more and less readiness for, although I was ready for all of it,
Yeah.
and so I visited those at different times and allowed my journaling to be a form of processing that.
That's great. Yeah, journaling is really great. Something everybody should be doing. So, have you noticed any changes or blocks that were removed in these past several months?
Yeah, I would say that the main change would be in terms of the intensity of that resistance and that fear around the act of channeling. Um, And I would say that there's just a sort of deeper understanding of how the layers of that resistance that has given it less power.
Yes. So, which sort of segues into the next question, which is, how do you feel now knowing about this past life of Sarah? I mean, it's an extraordinary thing to be told by a psychic that you were trapped in an insane asylum and then you go into a past life regression and you really find out in detail about this life that you experienced. So, how do you process that past life into your now life?
I mean, I think there's so many levels to that. Like on the just sort of the first level, like it's quite extraordinary. This is my first experience of hypnosis. It was quite amazing to sort of see the building, to see my body, to have this really vividly detailed life be just laid out for me. So there's fascination for sure. There's
Yeah.
fascination for just the complexity of human experience once we really take into consideration what it means to have many past lives. Um, there's added context for what it means to go against convention and to speak truth. What it means to sort of go against institutions like the church,
Mhm.
um, many institutions which really are not sort of founded in an empowering rhetoric around how much liberty we're at to actually create the conditions of our lives and how our divinity is innate and we don't need an institution to grant us access to it. So there was like another level of my appreciation of that historical arc of what it has
Mhm.
meant. Um, and then there was a sort of a deepening of my understanding of my current experience, why it's so compelling, why I felt I had to leave a more traditional mode of working with people, um, why it brings me such joy. Like there was a sort of a different understanding of the current experience as well.
Yes. And I think, all of us have experienced trauma within our lives in some shape or form. And I think it's that experience that helps you to help your clients even further because there's this organic experience of actually going through it.
Hmm.
And what's unusual for me as a practitioner is when I guide my clients into these past lives, I often feel your experience. I feel heavy that heavy burden that you're carrying in that institution, and you described things extremely well, and you had it so down close, Christina, that like you were able to talk about what you were wearing, and you were wearing these old clothes and old rags. And so as the practitioner, I experience these feelings that you have, and I
Hmm.
think this helps us to be kind and compassionate with our clients because it provides just another layer to our overall human experience.
Hmm.
And that's what we're having, right? We're
Hmm.
we're souls in human bodies having experiences.
Yes.
So it's fascinating to be in those types of past lives because I think it also helps us as healers and practitioners to be better at what we do. So really interesting.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to me it shows the very long arc that we're actually living, which is so much greater than one lifetime. So as tragic as Sarah's circumstances may have been, that was not the end of her story in the
No.
sense that, all the impulses continue in this lifetime and there's a way in which I'm transcending those conditions now. So that long arc is also very meaningful and very powerful to me.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Great. So, is there any advice you'd like to share with people that may help them during their hypnosis experience?
I would say just, as with any sort of healing practice, to try to go in with a stance of curiosity, of openness, to try to avoid any rigid expectations, to be very gentle with oneself, um, and to just, try to practice surrender and trust that your higher self is in charge, and then even as you surrender what feels like, your control, there is something else that is taking over that has your best interests at heart.
Yeah, that's great advice. Because often it's very much to your point, the client just has to let go
Yeah.
and not have very high expectations and just relax. That's the
Hmm.
main thing, is to relax.
Yes.
So, Kristina had an amazing hypnosis session, and we're going to talk more about it in depth as we go along into the other videos. But we just wanted to open up this conversation and talk about her past life with Sarah and help future clients who want to go into hypnosis. So, thanks everyone for watching my channel today, and we will look forward to talking to you in the next video.